All right, so what's the advantage? Why do I need permanent financing? I'll be on page 86. I need permanent financing to lower my debt service because it's going to be much lower than the private financing, unless, of course, I borrow a lot more on a permanent than I did on a private, which is usually the case. Either way, I want the best financing I can get because it is permanent. I want permanent financing to pull out cash. And just for the record, if they're not going to let me pull out cash, what am I going to do? Whack them. Whack them. Remember, we own the property, so it is a refinance most of the time. Not always, but most of the time it's a refinance. Any permanent lender who doesn't want me to take cash out of this thing that I created is not a lender I want to do business with. It's just that simple. It's that simple. I get to choose who I do business with just as they get to choose who they make loans to. And I want you guys to get this attitude. You do not have to do business with people who want to run your life for you and make rules you don't want to live with. You are the one that's renting their money. You are the one supplying them the capital. You have got to do everything you can to comply with their needs, but you're not required to bend over backwards and do things that make you lose sleep at night just to get the money. It's easier just to go elsewhere. I got a $10 million loan. I don't want to sign personally. What's the first thing you want to ask the broker or the lender? Are you going to require my signature? Well, yes. Okay, well then, this is not the loan for you. Question?
Yeah, what's your experience with large institutional lenders with high amortization loans, non-recourse, 10-year term normally with high penalties if you prepay? Have you got a group of lenders that you use?
That'd be a question for Brandon.
That fall in that category?
Yeah, usually you're not looking at high prepay, over a 10-year term. You may have a 1 or a 2-year, what they call yield maintenance, which just means you're guaranteeing they're going to get paid for that period of time. I've never seen one that's stretched beyond 5 years.
Neither have I.
Yeah,
I've seen a bunch of them that go up to 5 years.
Up to 5, but that's the max.
And sometimes they have sliding scales. First year, horrendous prepayment penalty. Second year, sub-horrendous.
Yeah.
Third year, just nasty. Fourth and fifth year weans off after the fifth year, or even sometimes the third year. There's no prepayment penalty. In fact, I've a couple of deals. That deal we just did and we almost did in Michigan. It looks like we're going to lose that deal because of that stinking prepayment penalty that I didn't want to pay. They got an offer on that property for $4 million contingent upon financing. Well, God bless them. But boy, when they come back to us, when that one falls through, they come back to us. We're going to offer less next time. It's the right man thing to do. We had a contract on this property, and we had one little thing that they wanted us to assume a loan they put on it and pay a $50,000 prepayment penalty when we paid it off. No, paying cash for the property. They ain't going to pay off your stupid prepayment. You got this loan, you paid a prepayment penalty. So that, of course, gave them the right to kill that contract because we changed something, and they just happened to have another offer come in. Who cares? Who cares? The country's full of buildings. I don't need that building. But God help them if they come back.
Well, and they do all the time. I mean, we see projects. Yes. I just saw a project
all the time.
Yeah, the day before I left, where it was one we had started a year ago, and then the buyer had lost it, and then it just came back to us. So it happens all the time.
Yeah, there's one thing I know about deals. Every time you lose one, there's a better one right behind it. And we have a better one 2 blocks away. So we don't care. Well, I don't care. Dale cares. Yes, sir.
Do the permanent lending financing lenders require you to have owned the property for any length of time? Is that an issue?
If you own it, you're saying, not obviously a non-purchase situation.
It's a refi situation.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up. What happens is, obviously, the best strategy you can use is to use seller financing to get in the deal. Okay, you want to get control of that property as quickly as possible. Once you've signed that contract, if they've financed the whole thing, then you're in that with zero down. Now you own the property. If you're trying to then convert into traditional bank financing, The answer is it depends on the lender. There are some lenders that will want to see that you really, they'll finance it immediately. So let me clarify. What varies is the length of time that they look at valuing that property. Some lenders, if you've owned the property for less than 1 year, some lenders will look at that as the purchase price you paid or the appraised value, whichever is less, is the value, which means if you paid $1 million for a property that appraised for 1.5 and you just bought it 2 months ago, they're going to assume that property is worth $1 million. Makes sense, because that's the true market value, what you paid. But it depends by the lender. A year is a good rule of thumb. I've never seen any lender where if you've owned a property for over a year that they've done that. Some lenders only look at it for 6 months, and some don't care.
Yes, they will. But I tell you what the bigger issue is there is when do you want to go in for the financing? Because you see, when you go for a permanent loan, you want to get the best, highest loan you can, right? All right, well, what has to take place for you to qualify for the best, highest loan you can? The answer is you got to fix whatever's broke. If you haven't fixed what's broke, you don't want to go for financing yet. If the numbers aren't where you want them. Here's a good example of that. This is that property in Florida that we're buying. It's totally vacant. Should I go for a loan with this thing totally vacant? No, what should we do? We should get it bought, then get it totally filled. Have cash flow coming in that'll choke a horse, then go for a loan. And by the way, will it be a lot easier to get the loan? In fact, a permanent lender, can you imagine a bank putting a loan on a property that has no tenants in it and no cash flow on a permanent, low-interest, long-term loan? They might have a reason to squawk. Well, you see, you got to recognize that going in. So I would borrow $4 million to buy it and pay back payments on the $3 million until it could be a while before you get this monstrosity leased, do you think? Sure. I mean, the city's still got to extend the runway, and they're going to put a road in, and there's action going on all around it, but who knows how long it's going to take. If we don't get this thing refinanced, fortunately, I think the city's going to do it on low-interest bond money, and I doubt it has anything to do with whether it's occupied or not. But just the same, I can assure you it'll have an effect on the amount we can borrow. Because as we're going to get to here in a little bit, the property's financial statement will determine how much you can borrow. And if you got no income, boy, that financial statement really sucks. Yes.
On permanent financing with some of these bigger loans, how negotiable are some of the front-end fees that
everything is
charge?
negotiable. Everything is negotiable. And don't think it isn't. Everything is. Don't listen to him. Everything is negotiable.
I didn't say a word.
But in terms of inspection fees, I know there's origination fees that you can. I mean, it's different with everybody.
The answer is the stronger your statement, the more negotiating power you got. Yeah. The stronger position you're in, the more negotiating you got. The weaker you're in, less, and they know it, and they can see it, and it's obvious. So, frankly,
just ask.
The truth is it doesn't matter. Yeah. Truth is, if you can get the money and the deal works for you, let it work for the bank. Look, incidentally, I'm not trying to make it not work for the bank. In fact, I want to see them get paid well for doing the loans. I want them to want to work with me because they make money at it and because it's easy to work with me. Not because I'm a pain in the neck and squeezing every little dime out of the deal as we go along. In fact, Sam can relate to this. He and I were having dinner a couple nights ago here with the lender here locally, and the guy told me, looked at me. He says, I'll tell you something about you. It's rare that I can take a financial statement and look at the financial statement and see where the money went and see the flow without having to work my tail off to try to figure out what all this crap means. You know what he said, Sam? That's what he said. He said, I could see where the money came in and I could see where it went out, and it was easy. In other words, bankers want to they want to work less, not more. So all you got to do is make it easy to work with. Give them something that's easy to finance. And you can't give them something easy to finance until you fix the problem. So again, we get in, we get money from private lenders to fix problem, then we go refinance when we're ready. And if you rush that process, it's just going to cost you a lot of money. I mean, you take an apartment complex, for example. You got a 300-unit apartment complex. You don't want to go refinance that thing until you got 95% occupancy, until the work is done, until you've lowered the expenses the best you can, until the net operating income is at the peak it's going to be right now. Then you go refinance it. Then you pull out enough cash to live the rest of your life if you've done a good job of buying it. And then you let that golden goose just sit there, and in 5 years from now you go refinance it again. Then you die.
Yeah, 2 points. When it comes to permanent financing, your objective is to build a long-term relationship with a lender, okay? It makes it easy for you to go back on other properties once you got a proven track record, and it makes it easy for them because they already know you, they already trust you, they understand your business. Okay, so that's point number one.
It's all about relationships, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
As most of the rest of the life is as well. In fact, he came to me through Mark Victor Hansen. Mark Victor Hansen, I met somewhere. He met him somewhere. Mark Victor Hansen got us together. I'm still trying to decide whether it was a good move or a bad move. But take a look in here at the pages now on the HUD loans, the 221Ds. Do you do these, incidentally?
I'm just the front man, so honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you're worthless up here, man. You're worthless. You don't even know if you guys do those loans or not?
I'm...
Huh?
Honestly,
Maybe
I know that I've never done one of these.
Okay.
I know that I've never done one of these.
So in other words, well, I'll tell you what, most commercial mortgage brokers who do permanent financing either do or can tell you who does these HUD 221D loans. And if you're going to do apartments, you certainly want to investigate this loan first, because this is a loan backed by HUD. But the beautiful part about it is they'll go 90% of the value, not the purchase price, the value, and they will advance the money to buy the project and renovate the project. And there really aren't much stipulations to go with this loan. It's a great loan, and it's the first thing that I would look at for apartments. First thing. And the second thing I would look at for any project that I'm financing, especially if it happens to be in one of my targeted areas in where I live, is money available to me by my local government agencies, either county or state. You better check that out first, because you won't get better money than is offered to you by government entities to stimulate redevelopment or development in their area, especially if you happen to be dealing with housing. Housing is one of the pet projects for any county. They want to get housing, more housing, more housing. And a lot of them are very, very, very development prone. I'm looking here at a thing from Ardmore, Oklahoma. Gee whiz, man. This city is actively marketing, please come develop in our area. I mean, we'll do anything for you. Just come to our area and build. Got an attitude like that, there's got to be money available for projects that you do in those cities. Let's move over here a minute. Let's talk about where you're going to get all this money. Because here's the good news. The really good news. This is what Brandon wants to hear. The last thing you guys need to be doing is spending your life dealing with bankers and lenders and all that. You got to be focusing on what? Putting deals together. Because that's where you make your money. That's what I focus on. I focus on that. I don't even want to talk to bankers. I do it only when they want to talk to me. Because first of all, if I'm not exactly on the same wavelength with them, it's a bad thing for me to talk to bankers, because my fuse is about this short when I'm hearing all this crap that I don't want to hear. So it's a good thing that I'm not the front man to talk to people who are making decisions to make loans to me, and not that I'd even want to. I spend my time processing deals. I spend my time doing what I should be doing, and somebody else does the rest. This is why mortgage brokers like Brandon, like Sam, and like a few others in the room here are a godsend to us. They are a huge part of our dream team. In fact, we can't survive without them. It's their job to go out and find the money. Now, if you don't know this, and I'm sure you do, that changes on a weekly basis. It's their job to stay on top of who's doing what to whom, and who wants what, and who's got the money, who doesn't have the money, and here's what'll fly, and here's not what'll fly, and they go build their relationships with these institutions and people, and all you got to do is come into this clearinghouse. Here's what I've got. They'll tell you whether it'll pass or play. And that's the beautiful thing. You take a project to Brandon to get funded. If it's not fundable, he's going to say, this ain't fundable. And by the way, if he says it's not fundable, perhaps you should listen. It's not fundable because the lenders that he's been dealing with for years make it very clear to him what'll fly and what won't fly. And you're not going to change that. So change the project and then go get it refunded. There's some do's and don'ts with mortgage brokers, and we're going to cover them. Some of them he's going to like, some of them he ain't. I don't care.
One of the things I want to add, too, is one of our roles as a loan consultant, if you will, is to help you package your loan package as attractively as possible. One of the things that we do in our capacity is to take a look at all the stuff that you give us and go, well, the bank's not going to like that, and they're not going to like this, so how can we turn that around rather than a weakness to a strength, or how can we mitigate that weakness? So a lot of deals get killed because people go into their bank and they just mention something that they shouldn't.
Yep, diarrhea of the mouth. Same way deals get killed when you're buying houses, You get run off at the mouth. You go in there and you want to do a seminar. Talk too much. And, the more you talk, the more chance you got of generating questions that now you have to answer, which generates more questions, which generates more answers. Before you know it, the deal looks totally different than it did.
It's like going to court. Your attorney's going to say, answer only the questions asked, and answer them as short as possible.
In fact, Sam, we were at dinner with a banker who had already approved my loan the other night. And Sam, how much time during that entire 2-hour ordeal, which is, for me, there ain't no food in the world worth 2 hours in a restaurant. How much time did we actually spend talking about my loan? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You think that was an accident? We talked about everything except my loan. And when we talked about my loan, my only question was, when are we going to get it closed? Because that's all I wanted to know. I did not want to discuss that loan, okay? Because, I just didn't want to get into conversations that might generate questions. He had all these answers. I ain't like he hadn't had time to make a decision. He had all the facts. And, no, I don't keep no secrets from him anyway. But you never know what your mouth's going to create if you just get diarrhea of the mouth. Now, you got to tell these mortgage brokers the truth. You got to give them all the facts. Remember, they're not making your loan. But the last thing you want to do is give mortgage brokers misinformation, and they go represent it, and then they later find out that you lied to them. How do you think that makes them look? And if that does make, and if you do that to them, what do you think the chances of them ever wanting to do business with you again? Never.
Yeah, if you didn't notice, my company's called Integrity Lending. And I really request that our clients have that as well, because it makes our life so tough if you tell us something that we can't prove or something that doesn't become true. So think of us like your attorney. You tell your attorney everything. Your attorney tells the other side only what they need to know.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so you can send all of the stuff to Brandon or whoever you're going to work with. That doesn't mean they're going to send it all to who they're working with. And here's some really good news. If you don't have what he wants, he's going to get it from you before he goes and submits a half-done package. So the good news is you don't have to be all that intelligent or all that up on the loan programs that are available or even what goes into a loan package, because he's going to make sure you get it. And of course, after you do one, they're all alike. It's the same components, loan after loan after loan after loan, give or take. So let's go through some do's down here, because we got a break at 10 if you remember. Tell them all the facts. Get them the docs they need and get them quickly. If you don't get them the stuff they need, whose fault is it if the loan drags? Yours. But who'll get the blame? Them. I guess that's the way it should be, huh?
We're on page 91 for those looking at the books.
Yeah. Make sure you have a clear understanding of their duty and your duties. Their duty. Compile, and frankly, it's your duty to compile the package, but it's their duty to make it in the format their lender wants to see it, and then present the case and plead your case. It's not their duty to approve your loan. It's not their duty to give you a commitment letter. It's not their duty to write you a check. It's their duty to act as the intermediary. You want to add anything to that?
Well, I was just going to say, we don't get paid unless we close a deal. So we're as motivated as you are. But we have to know all the facts up front so that we can put the best foot forward. And we will work with you. Any mortgage broker is going to work with you diligently to help package the best possible file in a way that's going to satisfy the lender's requirements.
Follow up to see that everything is going okay, but don't be a pest. You submit a loan to Brandon or Sam or anybody. They don't want to hear from you every day. They can probably get through their day okay without talking to you. And I'm sure that you think they need to talk to you every single day just to keep their relationship going because they'll forget who you are. They don't need to talk to you. In fact, they'd rather you didn't call them. And frankly, if they need you, they'll call you. Now, does that mean you shouldn't call them from time to time? No. But, every once in a while, not every day.
Well, and guys, email is a beautiful thing. You can email a broker or a loan officer without bothering them.
And don't even overdo that.
Please.
Yeah. I'm trying to help you out here, I'm trying to help you. Okay.
But, I'd rather look at a 5-second email than have a 5-minute conversation.
And you would, and as most people would. All right, here's one. Get legal help before signing a commercial loan broker agreement. God, you better. Because if you don't, you might need legal help after you sign it.
I thought you liked my agreement.
Well, I like your agreement, frankly, because it's plain and it's simple and it's easy to understand and it's not egregious. I didn't like the one I signed with Kennedy, still don't like it, and now I understand why they put that stuff in there. See, it just never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. And now it was clear and clearly understood that if they agreed to pay me, to give me the loans, and I didn't take them, that I forfeit the fee. I have a problem with that. That's what a commitment fee is all about. But it never occurred to me that they'd take $20 million worth of property and go out and say it's worth $2 million so they don't have to make an $8 million loan on it.
Well, and it did occur to me, and
that one.
I had that conversation with them 4 times. This is specifically what I want to make sure does not happen. And those guys told me 4 times, it'll absolutely be a fair market value. And if it's not, then you can have your own appraiser go out and do a second appraisal. And then we can designate a third-party appraiser to go and reappraise if we don't agree with their value. So we had addressed those issues, but they just flat out lied. So
wait till I get them to court and show 2 different appraisals on both properties that blow their value out of the water, and shoot, by that time probably have a sales agreement where somebody's paid 20 times what they said it was worth. Now, of course, who knows when that's going to be, but I don't care. I don't care how much it costs, how long it takes. I'm going after these guys. And I'm the wrong guy because, before it's over, I could have them in a class action suit. And that's, of course, if I don't have the Attorney General on top of them for fraud. And you can rest assured I'm going to pursue that one.
And the sad thing is, I told them that. They know that.
Well, good.
They just don't care.
Yeah, because they don't, this is an old hat to them.
Yep.
What a way to make a living. Why don't you just go do things right? Why you got to do crap like this for? You know what? They paid one guy to fly from New Jersey to Dallas to spend 2 hours looking at a property and fly back home. Why couldn't they just said, okay, well, let's take his cost out, we'll send you the money back and call it a day? Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? No, of course not.
That's what I asked them to do.
Next, ask for a couple of names of satisfied customers before committing. You don't know this mortgage broker, and you don't know whether they're real or not. And look, Brandon will be the first to tell you, and Sam can certainly tell you. If there's any industry that's full of crap, it's the financing industry. They're all full of crap. They all lie through their teeth and make promises they can't keep or don't keep. So you better get used to it. And I'm going to tell you something. You better make a note. Do not count on the money till the check's in your hand. Do not count on the money till the check's in your hand. I mean, even when you get a commitment letter, if you ever look at a commitment letter, there's all kinds of reasons in there they can back out of that if they want to. So get the check first. And then make sure it gets deposited. It might not clear, who knows. It does not hurt to ask them. If a mortgage broker It will not give up a couple of, at the very least, he can call people and ask them if it's okay if he gives them your phone number. I mean, I got to wonder why. Why they won't. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm fine. I mean, we actually have, letters of recommendation that we will have on file. So if people want to check references, we just fax them letters from satisfied customers, and they can call and follow up.
Okay. That's because you do what you say, Brandon. That's why you're fine with it.
Yep.
And that's what bothers me when people don't want me to talk to people that they've dealt with. In fact, I asked Kennedy for that, didn't I?
You did.
And what'd they say? I forgot. But I didn't get any names. And I swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker. Do a background check on him. Hey, call Cam Dunlap. Call Cam Dunlap. He'll do a background check on it. He can do it on any company, it wouldn't hurt you to know. I wished I'd have took my own advice. Findtheseller.com. Findtheseller.com. If I'd have had Kennedy checked out, if I'd have just took the time to do what I already knew I should do, there's no way I'd ever dealt with him. Because as soon as I did a background search on them, all this crap pops up, man. I mean, they got lawsuits coming out their ears. They must have a team of legal guys just fighting off. You know what they do? You know what their plan is? Their strategy is simple. Just outlast them until they go away. Limit the time a broker has to get you a commitment and then to close thereafter. Do not ever sign an open-ended agreement with a broker. By the way, you will not get a reasonable, decent broker to work with you without an agreement. Now look at it from their point of view. And I'm talking about loan broker here, right? Not real estate broker, loan broker. Look at it from their point of view. You want them to take your stuff, spend their time, go to their lenders, do their deal on the hopes that you're actually going to do this loan once they get their job done. That's like your boss telling you, go ahead and come to work. If I feel like it, I'll pay you. I would want an agreement. I am a mortgage broker. I ain't no way I'd ever do a loan for somebody until they sign a mortgage broker agreement. But all it says is if I deliver you the loan, I get my fees. But if I deliver you the loan and you don't take it, I still get my fees. It's a fair arrangement, isn't it? Well, if you don't want to sign one of those, you don't want to go to a mortgage broker. But you just got to be careful what you're signing, that's all. Because some of them are ugly and egregious. And frankly, if I were you, I'd get an attorney to look at it before you sign it. I know what it says. I've been around a long time. I don't take those. I wish I'd have took Kennedy's to an attorney, but I didn't have time. Frankly, I knew it was an egregious agreement anyway, and I still signed it. So whose fault is it? It's my own. Add a clause. You see that? Put a check mark up beside that one. Add a clause that says if the property appraises low, you aren't obligated to pay the broker fee or a commitment fee to the lender. Now look, I paid $120,000 to train you on this. You're welcome. You see, I didn't think of that one. The broker fee is going to say that that they'll make you the loan if the property appraises like it's supposed to appraise. And then it's going to say they'll make you a loan at 40, 50, 60% of the value. But it also says that they get to determine the value and they get to lower the loan. And if they do so, they've earned their fee. Follow me? All you got to do is counteract that with, if you lower the loan and I choose not to accept it, you have not earned your fee, there will be no fee. If that were written into this agreement, I'd probably have my $120,000 back by now. Didn't think of it. Just didn't think of it. Too busy doing other stuff. Didn't have an attorney look at it. Give yourself enough time to close so the broker isn't under duress to rush a loan. How do you think brokers feel when you call them up today and say, I got to have this loan in 4 days? Same way I feel when you call me up and say, we got to do this deal. It's about to go to the sale. I'm going to say, wave bye-bye to it. Because if you think I'm going to stop everything I'm doing and put all my focus on this deal that you have very little information on to stop it from going to a sale 3 days from now, forget it. I don't care if somebody's giving me the strip on Las Vegas. I don't care if it's the best deal on the planet. I'm not going to interrupt my life on the chance that this is really a decent deal or not. And even if I did get my head into the deal, then what's got to happen? Who's going to come up with a bunch of money to fund a deal without time to do due diligence? Not me. And I don't care how good a deal it is. Let it go. So what did I just tell you? Don't expect me to work miracles when we're 2 days away from something. Frankly, I'm not even going to look at it. I just don't want it bad enough to take. Do you know what happens when you have to move like that? You're putting yourself out on that great big old limb and it's flopping around out there and your butt's on it. And you're at risk for every dime worth of check you write because you have circumvented the art of due diligence. And when you do that, you're at risk. Sometimes it pays, sometimes it don't. And he ain't going to move that fast either. And even if he moves that fast, the lender on the other end is not moving that fast. So you got to give him time to get the job done. Besides, it wouldn't surprise me that you would not be his only client. Yes, sir.
Brandon, is the broker's agreement we signed with you going to be the same one that Ron signed?
Actually, his agreement is a piece of cake, honestly. I had no problem with his agreement whatsoever. In fact, you could tell that he'd taken all the egregious crap that some of these guys will send you and removed it because he didn't need that stuff. He don't call for a $120,000 commitment fee when he gets the loan closed. That's the biggest thing. And besides, I know the guy. That's the biggest deal. I know the man. I ain't worried about him.
And the power of a contract is clarity. If you can get clarity about what happens in different situations, then a contract is strong. If there's a lot of ambiguity and you're not sure what happens if different scenarios play out, it's weak. So our contract is probably longer than you'll see any other broker fee agreement. I'll tell you that right now. It's about 6 pages.
Yeah, but it's simpler.
It is. I mean, it spells it out. You know what you're agreeing to, and it's crystal clear.
Well, I'll tell you what, deals are being made as we sit. In fact, Dan, when you come up and tell the class what you just did.
Okay. I was just telling Ron, I have been working off and on a deal over a year, just couldn't quite figure out how to structure it. Long story short, it's 78 acres of land at the base of a ski resort. It's actually backs up to the ski resort. It was in an estate, 3 heirs. Basically, with 78 acres was $350,000. And
that was your purchase price?
Well, that was the asking price.
Oh, God.
It was $350,000. It has a $125,000 worth of timber.
Oh.
And there's a contract with a timber company, and there's a 4-bedroom, 1-bath house.
Oh.
It's I won't tell you exactly where it is because the contract's on the way. there's
We understand.
Too many snipers in the road.
We understand.
But the land splitting idea, I had been trying to figure out. The seller would not come under the $350, won't hold definancing, so I was trying to figure out how to do it with nothing down. The land splitting idea, I just got the seller to agree to split the house and the 2 acres off. The realtor has a buyer for it for $125,000. So I'll get a $400,000 mortgage at the closing, take the $125,000 from the timber, and the $125,000 just about pay the mortgage off, not quite. But this is right in the line of progress. Right now, the acreage sells for $15,000 an acre. I'm going to sell enough just to pay off that mortgage and just keep the rest of it, divide it into quarter-acre lots, and kind of let progress catch up to it.
So you just got 70 acres free and clear.
But yeah, basically got 78 free acres. So thank you. And Rick helped me with it at the last break. I ran up to the room and the contract's on the way. So thanks.
And our checks are coming with it.
Your
right?
check's coming. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Good job, man. And I better get a letter too. All right, let's go back to page 92 and talk about what not to do when you're working with mortgage brokers or lenders, for that matter. Number 1, don't try to convince them that you're turkey's an eagle. If your deal sucks, it sucks. And there's nothing Brandon's going to be able to do to make it unsuck. If the numbers don't make any sense, they don't make any sense. I don't care what you think. If reality is that they don't make any sense, then you got to come back into reality. Don't apply for a loan with several brokers simultaneously without disclosing it. Now look, I am going to be very reluctant to have one broker working on a deal, and if that broker falls down, I can't get the deal closed. I'm very reluctant to do that unless I have a relationship where I absolutely know that money's going to be there. When that's the case, maybe I won't be so reluctant. All right, so here's how I handle it. You can make your own decision. If I've got a broker working on a loan, and then I want to get somebody else working on it, I just point blank tell them, look, I got somebody else working on it as well. And frankly, it's the first one who brings me the deal is the one I'm going to sign. And of course, if the broker don't want to live with that, that's all right. Most of them will live with that. In fact, most of them understand that. Do they like it? I'm sure they don't. All brokers would rather have the exclusive, but it's too risky for me. I mean, I'm just afraid, unless I know where I'm going to get the money if they crap out on me, it bothers me to the point to where I'm not going to take that risk. So all I do is put it right in the agreement. In fact, Brandon will tell you I put it in his, that if somebody else comes through with the loan first, then I'm going to have to take that loan, and my obligation to you on this loan is non-existent. So bring me the money, bring me a commitment letter, and then that process stops. Ye who comes in with a commitment letter that I can accept first gets the deal. It's that simple. And that's exactly what happened right here in Forney on the property. Sam was working on that deal, and has been for quite a while, and he got me a great loan. And so I immediately had to tell Brandon that let's go do something else. So when his lender guy gets here today, if he's not already here, then we'll go do something else. And in my case, we had something else to do. So the key is, what you don't want to do is go have 3-4 people working on the loan at one time and not disclose to them that this loan is being shopped, because they'll quickly learn it anyway. It's a very small community out there, whether you know it or not. It's a small country.
I've got a great story for you.
Especially when you got a jet. It's a very small country. Go ahead. We'll hear your story.
We actually had a situation here recently where we were working on a loan that, we were having a tough time getting funded. And I don't remember the specifics. It was one of my vice presidents that was working on the transaction. But we had found what we determined to be the only source to get this deal done. And we had sent it to them, and at the same time, this client went to another broker, and they shopped the loan to the same source. And the lender, who had issued us a pre-approval, said, these guys are desperate, and they walked. They just shot themselves in the foot. We found them the money. We were going to deliver the money to them, but they went out there and shopped multiple sources, and it got back to the same lender, and it killed the deal.
Okay. So now from a borrower's point of view, not a lender's point of view, what would you suggest we do? Because you're right. I know he's right. We've had very similar problems with that. Sam back here looking, and we get word back, hey, this guy's already been here with this loan. So obviously they think something's wrong, What's wrong is that the guy doing the borrowing don't want to put these eggs in that one basket and hope it don't crack. That's all that's wrong. So you tell us what to do.
If you're going to work with multiple brokers, is to have the brokers, clarify the lenders they're submitting it to. If you're going to work with one first, have them get you a list of the lenders they're going to submit that loan to, and exclude those lenders from the fee agreement in the other broker agreement.
Yeah, but you think that's a reasonable thing for a broker to do, is to give you a list of lenders that they're submitting it to?
If you have signed a fee agreement saying that you're going to pay me if I deliver this loan, then at that point I don't have a problem giving you a list of lenders.
Oh, wait a minute now. I'm the borrower.
Mm-hmm.
I bring a loan to you.
Right.
It's you that's got to come up with this list of lenders that you've submitted it to. I don't even know who they are.
No, that's right. That's what I'm saying. Once you've signed my fee agreement saying that you're going to pay me if I deliver the loan, at that point, I, as the broker, would feel comfortable giving you that list of lenders that we're submitting it to.
I would tell you that most wouldn't.
Well, that's because most don't have integrity. But
and you know that. And you know that most wouldn't. Anyway, I'll tell you what. A lot of this has to do with the time frame you got to get the money to. Now, hey, let me rephrase here. I think really what I'm referring to here is a hard money loan to get the property bought. That's the one I'm worried about, the time frame, because you could lose the deal if the money is not there to buy it. I'm not worried about them permanent loans. I do a permanent loan. I don't need but one person working on a permanent loan. Why? I got the time. I've taken the pressure and the stress off. I got the time. I'll turn them loose. I don't want several people working on the permanent loan. But that money to acquire it with, that's just a huge risk. You could literally lose multi-millions of dollars worth of profit because a broker or lender doesn't come through with the money. That scares me. And when you start acquiring money out here, it'll scare you too.
Well, that's a great point of clarity. I mean, we don't turn over our list of private investors just for that reason, because one individual would share it with all their friends, and then suddenly we've lost our power.
I'm glad we got that clear.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it ain't no big deal for me to tell what institutions I'm shopping the loan with, but for a mortgage broker to give up his list of private investors, I'm telling you. They'll give up their family first. I mean, this is a cherished asset to them. They are not going to disclose its information. They won't even disclose it to the borrower. And I wouldn't either. You're never going to. I do private loans all the time, sometimes with other people's money. You ain't never going to get that name out of me. And even at closing, you know what I'm going to try to do? I'm going to try to make that person make the loan in an entity so the borrower still doesn't know who it is, which is a smart thing for them to do anyway. Yes?
Suppose you got your normal 90-day period, and you got a 60-day contingency period, and you signed a commitment fee with a commitment letter with Brandon saying if he delivers the loan at the value that you're going to pay him a fee. That's the normal way you do it, right? So let's just say that during that, in 50 days he has found this loan, right? And but you haven't signed it yet. And on day 58. One of you just discovered that there's something about the property that doesn't meet you don't like it. There's something on the land, or the land doesn't work out, or you can't get the zoning or something. Are you still obligated to pay him a fee? Even though he's delivered the loan, but your contingency?
That depends on what the agreement says, and I'll let him comment on that. Frankly, you probably don't want to be doing business with a mortgage broker who still wants to get paid if there's some kind of a title problem or an environmental problem, and you don't close because of that. But if you don't close because you change your mind, he's certainly entitled to his fee. He's done what he said he was going to do. And if you change your mind because of something you find out about that property that you just don't like, that changes your mind, as far as he's concerned, you should have known it long before now.
Well, that can be pretty gray, what we're talking about
here.
Yeah,
of course.
What's your opinion versus...
Well, right now, I got properties where I got due diligence working on. That Boardman Crossing I was showing you. There's several things working on that thing. We got phase one working. We got some title problems working. Some messes to clean up. We got to make sure the city's going to give us approval to go all through that all back over again. And they're working on that, and they're going to get that done quickly. But I'll tell you, long before I get to the point to where I get a loan commitment on it, that stuff is going to be done. So in this case, I'm going after hard money to get it bought. So it doesn't take him long to find hard money if it's there. But I don't want to even turn him loose with the hard money, knowing that I got at least 30, 40, 50, 45 days worth of due diligence to do where any number of things could crap out the deal, only to have him go find the hard money and then the deal craps. I want to in my case, I get as much of the due diligence done as I can before I even call him.
So let's assume that you just went into escrow tomorrow on a property. And you had this 60 days contingency period. And when would you contact him? I mean, you're saying it only takes a few weeks for him to
Well, actually, we're going to get to that here in a little bit, because then you got the appraisal issue, who orders that, and so forth and so on, and that has a lot to do with that. So let's come back to that, Mike.
Let me just make a quick comment. For us, it's about relationships. We want a relationship with good clients just as much as you want a relationship with a good broker. So if there's a problem with the property and you decide to walk because of a major glaring issue, we're not going to come after you and try and collect, even though we've done the work, because we're trusting that there's going to be more deals down the road. So we want to make this painless. We want this to be a mutually beneficial relationship. We're not out there trying to get a bunch of fees for properties that you're not buying. But what we do have to protect ourselves is from doing all of the work and then having you go with somebody else. That's really what that agreement is all about.
Yep, exactly. Same problem you guys have when you're out here selling houses and you got buyers and they go down the street and buy one after you get their loan approved. And by the way, another word of caution: when you sign this broker agreement, make sure it says in there that if you can't close the property because of something you can't control, that this agreement is not applicable to this property. Because I'm telling you, you ain't going to worry about him. But there's brokers out there who will want that fee no matter what. Okay, pay a large commitment fee up front. Obviously, I think we've probably covered that one. Now, let's make sure we're clear here. You guys don't need to deal with hard money lenders who want a great big huge fee up front, even upon commitment. But most anybody doing loans that require due diligence is going to want their expenses covered. Most any of them will. And so you're going to have to consign yourself that you're going to have to spend a few $1,000s up front. Here's how it works, and you correct me if I'm wrong. You submit the loan to Brandon or whoever, and Brandon then communicates with the lender he thinks is best suited for that loan. The lender says, yeah, that deal looks good. Let's move forward. Only then is he's going to want to ask for some money to spend for that due diligence. Can you imagine why people don't want to send people out into the field and buy plane tickets and hotel bills and all of that on a wing and a prayer, only to get there to find out that everything you told them was a lie, and that the property is not worth anywhere near what you said it was, and that everything you said was untrue? Now they get stuck holding the bag. All they want is some advance money to cover their cost.
There's another reason they want advance money too.
Yeah, commitment.
It's a commitment. They want to know that if they're going to spend their time and incur legal expenses and doing due diligence, that you're going to follow through on the loan if they deliver it. And so they want to know that you're committed to them.
Yep. In fact, what they want is what you would want if you were in their position.
That's right.
Okay, don't try to go behind a broker's back and steal the lender. I'm telling you, if you do that once, the word is going to get around big time. Just like you don't go behind real estate brokers' back and try to go directly to the seller. The real estate broker, for your information, has a contract with that seller. And if you go behind and try to steal that deal, you have violated that contract, and it's easy to prove that you are tortiously interfering with that deal, and you're going to wind up paying for it. Besides, it just ain't the right thing to do. And it's not the right thing to do but go behind a mortgage broker's back who spent years developing these relationships with these lenders and try to steal the lender to shave a couple of points off the deal. By the way, what do you think a lender is going to do when they find out you've tried to circumvent the broker? I don't know of any lender who wants to do business with somebody that's that slimy.
That's right.
And the minute they find it out, the deal is dead. I know you got comment on that one.
You've already said everything I would have said.
That's it. Every time you sign a broker agreement with a broker, it's going to say in there that if you go back to this lender, you owe them a fee for some amount of time. Just like when you sign an agreement with a real estate broker. If one of their buyers turns out buying your property after your agreement expired, you owe them a fee. They found the buyer. Why shouldn't you pay them a fee? Why shouldn't you? Besides, the second loan is going to be easier. The last thing you want to do is go to a lender. You know, you can't close a loan without knowing who the lender is, can you? Because that's why that's in there. You don't go to the lender the next time. You go to the broker. Now, that's going to expire. All of those have an expiration date on it. And whatever is reasonable. What does yours say anyway?
Ours says 99 years. Oh, wait. No, I guess it's 3.
3. Geez, that's egregious. Did I sign that?
Yes, you did.
Oh, my God. I must have been on drugs that day.
No, you were too busy changing other parts of it.
Okay. Ask a broker the name of his lenders before you sign on an agreement. Come on, get real. No way. Put all your hopes on one broker until he or she has proven their value. We've covered that. Sign 2 commitment letters for the same loan. Hey, guys, when you sign a commitment letter, do you understand that that is a contract between borrower and lender? And at that point, when you sign that commitment letter, if you do not take that commitment, you owe that broker their money and you owe that lender their money. Unless something stops you from closing and is beyond your control. So you be very careful. You don't want to be willy-nilly signing commitment letters. I signed a commitment letter the night before last, and I fully intend to close on that loan, and I will not sign another commitment letter now for that same loan. That's like selling your house and signing 2 deeds to 2 different people. Yes?
What's the difference between the due diligence that you do and the due diligence that the lender does?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for 2 different things, although a lot of similarities, but obviously checking title, checking the environmental, it depends on the type of property because there's a lot of other factors that you're going to look for. It's really the same type of things, although you're looking at more from a profit potential standpoint. So you doing the due diligence are going to want to make sure that you can resell that property at a higher value, that if you want to change the use of that property, that you can get approvals to do so. So there's sort of different factors from that perspective because you're looking at it from the future use standpoint, whereas we're looking at it from the current use standpoint. But other than that, the due diligence is pretty similar.
Actually, it is. Most of the stuff, I mean, frankly, probably all the stuff you're going to do, the lender is going to want you to do anyway. But in reality, really what their due diligence is to verify what you're sending them is real.
So I'm going to do the environmental study, the title.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to go over the due diligence list. So let's get off of that. We're going to do the due diligence list before you get a contract and after you get a contract, and tell you exactly what to send to the lender and the whole works.